Matthew Peterson is a fraud, and the Browns are a bunch of frauds. Their quarterback should be in jail. Should I keep going? Anyways, we're in a sub-battle with the Browns report, and I want to beat them very badly, as you couldn't tell already. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your Seattle Seahawks. Let's beat the Browns, not just on the football field, but off the football field as well. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. The Seattle Seahawks received some unfortunate news this week that star linebacker Uchenna Nwosu is likely done for the rest of the season. And so with that, where does Seattle go from here? I have 5 potential replacement options with the trade deadline nearing of who the Seahawks could bring in to step up in Nwosu's place. The latest from ESPN's Adam Schefter on X, formerly known as Twitter, said this: Seahawks linebacker Uchenna Nwosu does, in fact, need season-ending surgery with his torn pectoral, per source. Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll has said it looks like Nwosu would need surgery for his pec. First off, this sucks. It absolutely does. And first and foremost, I hate it for Uchenna Nwosu more than anything else. Uchenna is a likable guy. He's been a great teammate. He's been awesome to have in Seattle in the 2 years that he's been here. He's been a terrific impact player. With that said, though, no offense to Uchenna Nwosu. Don't take this the wrong way. But I don't think this is something that the Seahawks can't overcome. I think that what we've seen from the Seahawks in their pass rush within the last couple weeks was huge steps in the right direction by multiple pieces. And with the trade deadline still upon us, you can put a Band-Aid on this situation for now. You take a look at the depth chart for the Seahawks at the linebacker position right now. You would think that either Derrick Hall or Darrell Taylor would step into that fold where Nwosu's at. Boye Mafe is leading the team in sacks right now. And heck, we've seen Bobby Wagner and Jordyn Brooks play a very effective role in the pass rush so far this season. So it's not going to be just one guy stepping in and replacing Nwosu. It is going to be a collective effort. Now, if they do go shopping, who could they go shopping for? Let's start with Brian Burns of the Carolina Panthers. Arguably the biggest player on the trade market right now. Brian Burns is an incredible player, to say the least. And I would say this: of the replacement options that we're going to talk about today, Burns is probably the most realistic because he is the one most likely to get moved, although his asking price is going to be very high. I know the Panthers turned down an offer from the Rams last year for 2 first-round picks. Likely not going to get that, probably somewhere between a first and then a mid-round pick of some sorts. He has the highest ceiling of any player that we're going to talk about on today's show that's available out there. A 2-time Pro Bowler, already making history within the Panthers organization. He's 5th all-time in sacks with 42 so far in his career. And last year, 12.5 total sacks, which was a career high. So you could say that Brian Burns is really just getting started. And this year he hasn't slowed down at all either. 20 tackles, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble. Brian Burns is looking really good to begin this season. So watch out. Brian Burns could be a difference maker for the Seattle Seahawks team and would certainly help things if Uchenna Nwosu is gone and you're looking for that replacement. Our pinned comment today: should the Seahawks trade for Brian Burns? What do you think? T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in that comment section. Let us know what you think. Next on the list is Danielle Hunter. And I'll say this: Danielle Hunter has been fantastic so far in 2023. Arguably the best defensive player in the league, on his way to winning the Defensive Player of the Year. But with the Vikings getting that win over San Francisco on Monday night, that may have breathed some new life into that Minnesota Vikings team, a team that most people thought was going to be sellers at the deadline, all of a sudden might find themselves buying, potentially, going all in on a playoff run, which would make things very hard to bring in Danielle Hunter. With him not getting the long-term money he was looking for, it seemed like Hunter was one of the top trade chips out there. But it's going to be a little bit tougher with the circumstance the Vikings in are being better than what they were a couple of weeks ago. Danielle Hunter, a 3-time Pro Bowler as recently as last year, second-team All-Pro in 2018. And as we mentioned, leading the NFL in sacks right now. But beyond just what he's doing, having a career season in 2023, it's the story of how far he's come. Back in 2020, he missed the entire season due to a neck injury. Comes back in 2021 when most players would have just retired, not been able to come back. He was able to manage a 6-sack season that year in the 7 games he played. Followed that up with 10.5 sacks and then 9 so far this year. Danielle Hunter has been absolutely incredible. It's a great story to see how far he's come back from. Burns, his trade costs going to be more than Danielle Hunter, but Danielle Hunter, the better player at the moment. Which guy would you rather have? Pick one to trade for. Type B for Brian Burns. Type D for Danielle Hunter. Weigh in that comment section. Let us know what you think. Next on the list, we find Josh Uche, the outside linebacker from the New England Patriots. And this is one of the biggest wild cards of sorts on this list that we're talking about today, because Uche, I think, would be a good value, but there's still some unknown with Uche at this point in his career because he hasn't reached his full potential in New England. And I would say a big reason why is that he's been held back, that Gerard Mayo, Bill Belichick and company haven't elevated Josh Uche to be able to play to his full capabilities. When we've seen him on the football field, he's been really good. I mean, you look back at last year, he was second on that Patriots team in sacks with 11.5. And he tied for the NFL lead in sacks from week 8 on till the end of the year last season. So when he's given the chance, he can step up. The problem is New England hasn't been giving him much of a chance. Sure, he's played 42 games in his career, but only 2 starts. Something does not add up here, and I don't know what it is. So far this year, Uche has a total of 2 sacks, 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. We mentioned how well he played last year. This is a guy, you put him in Seattle, give him a fresh start, more playing time. He could potentially really excel and elevate in this New England, in this Seattle defense. And you're looking at maybe giving up a late-round pick to bring him in on a rookie contract. That might be the most feasible move of what the Seahawks could pull off here. Today's show is sponsored by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. Go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code Seahawks125. You will get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down, you get $125 to spend for free at chatsports.com/bet. The Seahawks are the early favorites against the Brownies this weekend. 3-point favorite to be exact. Over-under set at 40. You want to bet on this game as well as Seahawks action all season long. You can do so at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125. Who do you got? You going with the Seahawks or you going with the Browns? Type S for Seahawks, B for Browns. Let us know what your bet is going to be this weekend. Next on the list, we stay in the division with former first-round pick out of the University of Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane, Zaven Collins, out of the Arizona Cardinals. And I know what you're thinking right away. Intra-division trades just don't happen very often. And that would be true. It is very rare that we see intra-division trades. But the Cardinals are so bad, so awful, and so desperate as they start this rebuild. I think that they could be looking to move on from Collins and keep him even in the division if the Seahawks give him the best offer out there, because they know that they're not going to be competing for a while anyway. Collins already this year is off to a good start to 2023 with 3.5 sacks. He was just one of 5 players in 2022 with over 100 tackles, 6 passes defended, and 10 tackles for loss. And still a very young player coming into his own, as he's only played in 40 games with 29 starts to this point. Zaven Collins, I think, has a high ceiling. And you get him out of Arizona, you get him to a competent system working with Clint Hurt and Pete Carroll. Watch out. Collins could be that first-round talent that he was expected to be coming out of the University of Tulsa. So far this year, 15 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. and a fumble recovery. Zaven Collins looking really good. Watch out. I want to rule out that possibility. And I doubt that he's going to cost a first-round pick, even though he was a former first-round pick. Maybe it's second or third potentially to bring in Collins there. Who's the player the Seahawks trade for? We got our targets here. What comes to mind for you? Weigh in the comment section. Give us a name who you would like to see the Seahawks potentially bring in. Last on our list from the Green Bay Packers, we find Preston Smith. The Green Bay Packers are not that great of a football team with first-year quarterback Jordan Love, so potentially trying to acquire assets to build for that future of that organization. And you look at Preston Smith, here's somebody that despite being in the league for 9+ seasons, being the oldest guy on this list of players that we're talking about here, he hasn't shown any fall off in production, even with the age. Aging like a fine wine, like a Jennifer Aniston of some sorts. He hasn't slowed down. Look at this, okay? From the 2015 to 2022 stretch, he is only one of 2 players in the entire NFL with 50 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 5 forced fumbles. Pretty remarkable for Preston Smith. Just a good all-around player, not just a pass rusher. And you talk about consistency with Preston Smith. He's had 8 straight seasons with 4 sacks, and the experience is very good. You talk about a Seahawks team that is trying to make that playoff push, right? And veterans that are able to step up and come in right away and fill in the gaps. That's what Preston Smith would bring with his experience with 135 career games played and 118 starts. His numbers so far this year, 2 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 22 tackles. In 2021 and 2022, he looked really good in those seasons with 9 sacks and 8.5 sacks each. So Preston Smith, I think you're looking at a day 3 pick that you could potentially give up and get a pretty good football player in Preston Smith if you can pull that off. So with Uchenna Nwosu out, our replacements to fill the gap for Seattle include Brian Burns, Danielle Hunter. You'd be hitting the jackpot if you got those 2. Josh Uche is the wild card factor of some sorts that I feel is being underutilized in New England. Zaven Collins, a recent first-round pick who's having a really good start to his season, got plenty of potential there. And then the veteran of the bunch, Preston Smith from the Green Bay Packers. Before we go, quick plug, go check out our main Chat Sports channel for the latest NFL Power Rankings. Find out where Tom Downey and our experts have the Seattle Seahawks among the best in the National Football League. The link is in the comments and the description of this video. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for more Seahawks coverage. We're going to be live here tomorrow on the channel at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We shall see you then. And if you need any other reason to subscribe to the channel, let's just stick it to Petey and those nasty Browns fans, and we'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.